A Chinese health official confirmed last Saturday that China authorized emergency use of COVID-19 vaccines on July the 22nd. The move allows vaccine candidates to be used among selected groups of people who are prone to be infected, including medical staff and border inspection officials. Meanwhile, 2 other Chinese vaccines are expected by the end of this year. And China has been conducting vaccine cooperation with countries including UAE, Peru, Argentina, Morocco, and Indonesia. So how soon will coronavirus vaccine make it to the market in China? What can people expect in terms of availability and safety? Is there the so-called vaccine diplomacy? From Shanghai, I'm pleased to be joined by Chen Hong, Executive Director at the Asia-Pacific Studies Center of East China Normal University, and from Shenyang, Mario Cavolo, CEO of M Communications Group and Senior Fellow at the Center for China and Globalization, a think tank. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. So as I said, China officially launched the emergency use of a COVID-19 vaccine on July the 22nd. The confirmation came from the National Health Commission's Zheng Zhongwei, Director of its Science and Technology Development Center, and also the leader of the Vaccine Research and Development Team. He said the purpose of the emergency use is to first establish an immune barrier among special populations such as medical personnel and epidemic prevention personnel. Now, Chairman of Sinopharm, one of China's largest pharmaceutical companies, Yang Xiaoming, said that his company obtained the UAE clinical trial approval on June 23rd. So far, the number of people enrolled has exceeded 20,000 altogether. Yang also said the safety of the inactivated vaccine that is being trialed there is very good, and the effectiveness is under further observation. Sinopharm has also signed agreements to conduct phase 3 clinical trials in Peru, Morocco, and Argentina. So, Professor Chen, let me go to you. How big of a breakthrough is the emergency use, and what factors allow China to get so far so fast?
Yes, according to China's law, the vaccine management law, actually, there is this necessity that when there is a kind of like impending, imminent, emergency of public health, there is this necessity to put into use, vaccines that are yet, to be approved, to be put into use in some kind of critical groups of workers, such as the frontline medical health workers, and also, for example, like border officials and other, professionals. These are actually to guarantee actually the safety and also the functionality of the governing of the governance. And also in the cities and also in the regions, as well as, of course, the smooth running of the societies and also the economy.
But
on the other hand,
we all know at this moment,
yes.
at this moment, phase 3 trials are still being carried out on some of these vaccines. No vaccine has been officially approved for release to the general public officially. So how can the safety of the vaccines be guaranteed while it is being put into emergency use? Professor Chen, once again.
Yes, largely, the vaccine are actually inactivated vaccines. Those inactivated vaccines does not have, the infectiousness, so in other words, it is there actually to be injected into the human body to activate the, the antibodies, within the physicality of the human bodies, but not actually to be actually as mimicking, the mechanism of the virus itself. So in other words, definitely the vaccine itself is not infectious. That is actually in the first place. Secondly, of course, this vaccine actually is largely being monitored by medical professionals, and also to ensure actually the safety and also the effectiveness of the vaccines. So that's actually combined will actually lead to the final success of those vaccines. These are actually the phase 3 clinical trial of those vaccines. So that is actually really we're approaching it. We're approaching the final success of the development.
Hopefully, according to the World Health Organization, in the beginning of August, 165 vaccine candidates have started some forms of trials worldwide, and 26 of them are in clinical trial. And among these 26, 6 vaccine candidates have entered phase 3 trials. Just to give you an idea where we are, including 3 kind from China. And two vaccine producers in China said last Sunday that their vaccine is expected to be put on the market by the end of this year. The three Chinese candidates are from Sinovac, Wuhan Institute of Biological Products under Sinopharm, and Beijing Institute of Biological Products under Sinopharm as well. That's according to Michael Ryan, Executive Director of the World Health Organization Health Emergencies Program. So, Mario, I know this is more a scientific matter, but still, if you can, help us understand exactly how the big picture really is, and where is China in terms of vaccine development?
Absolutely. I am doing plenty of research on the topic myself, as you say, as a layman, but still there's lots to read, lots to consider. I've spent many hours. And, you know, I'm really happy to talk about the fact that this is 2020. So in terms of medical technology and medical advancements, the fact of the matter is that technology is in the laboratory I'm referring to. I've read so many different articles and research papers clearly indicating that, like everything else in the modern age, the last 50 years, progress goes much faster. I mean, look where the whole world has gone in the last 50 years. It's gone further in 50 years and in the previous 1,000 years. I mean, and this, we're moving toward the singularity, right? So the acceleration of the pace of information, the acceleration of the pace of research and progress in the laboratory. So what would have taken 5 years before, and I'm not even going to say it's just China, right? Other countries as well are experiencing this. The progress of technology has put us all on an accelerated timeline. That's very, very good news. That's the first point for the world.
At the same time, we're also seeing a lot of cooperation, right, between Chinese developers and international and other countries, let's say, foreign governments. We were just talking about China doing these companies doing the phase 3 clinical trials in different countries. And some people are skeptical of this kind of cooperation, either talking about a vaccine diplomacy or China trying to use it as a geopolitical tool. Mario, how do you look at this kind of cooperation? What are these corporations really about? How does it work? For instance, China bringing the vaccine into these countries for phase 3 trials. Why not doing it in China? And what does China give? Or what does China take? What do these countries give? What do they take? Is that an equal relationship?
Well, to be skeptical about these things is absurd, and I'm so glad you brought this topic up. I can't exactly remember the quote of the paper. It's on the tip of my tongue. I just did an article about this, how the analysis has shown, first of all, that cooperation and collaboration, not to mention trust, had been occurring between China and dozens of other countries. We're referring here to in the scientific community and the medical community, right? And that even included between the United States and China, and included, as you well know from so many different times of discussing it on the show, the Wuhan laboratory. So all of this cooperation is always taking place in the scientific community because it's normal. That's what scientists do. There is collaboration in the business community. Likewise, right, American companies aren't leaving China. The U.S.-China Business Council and the American Chamber of Commerce just told us that. So, you know, the reality versus the politics is completely different. The cooperation is there. More so is the paper I'm referring to, and again, I just can't quite remember it.
Yeah.
So that the cooperation has accelerated since the pandemic began, even between Chinese and U.S. scientists and medical personnel. There's more cooperation now than there was even 6 months ago and a year ago.
Well, if that is the case, then it's definitely good news. Yet again, it seems to be a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of skepticism against the motive behind this kind of motive, you know, especially on the part of China behind this kind of cooperation. Professor Chen, maybe you could help us understand some of the details. For instance, the things that I mentioned, exactly why China how did China pick who to cooperate with, and what is the give and take relationship in the whole thing?
Yes, I think actually in the first place, if we remember actually on May the 18th, when President Xi Jinping was speaking at the World Health Assembly, he actually pledged very solemnly that actually once the vaccine developed by China is actually here, is ready, actually it will be for the global public goods. For something to be globally public good, that means actually definitely that will be actually available to everyone in the world. If we remember actually, President Duterte of the Philippines, when he was actually talking about the vaccine, a Chinese-made vaccine, he was requesting that actually his country, the Philippines, will be given priority when actually the vaccine is ready. So in other words, there is this requirement, this necessity around the world actually hoping that actually, to be, taking the advantage of the Chinese developed vaccine. That is actually a very important, way. And on the other hand, I agree with Mario in that actually the cooperation, collaboration, and also trust with UAE, with Morocco, with Argentina, Indonesia, and also, a number of other countries. Those countries are actually having right now when we are speaking, in those countries, clinical trials are actually happening, and that is actually a very important step, critical, step towards the final success of the vaccine that will be ensuring the ultimate victory of, the combat against the coronavirus disease.
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, China is developing some of the vaccines, 3 entering phase 3 trials so far, but there are also 3 from different companies, such as the UK, such as in other European countries. Mario, to your knowledge, are there any differences or similarities in the approach that the Chinese companies are rolling out these vaccines, or, their international competitors?
With respect to the different types of vaccines that are out there,
or the different approach in terms of cooperation, in terms of rolling it out?
Well, in terms of cooperation and rolling it out, the main difference that shocks me is how Professor Chen just mentioned that the rolling out approach needs to be for the public good, not for profits. When we look over, it's almost that the United States makes itself too easy to criticize.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be that way. I wish it wasn't easy to criticize, but it's too easy to criticize. The healthcare system there is just so corrupted and fractured.
Mario, I have to leave it. That time is up. Many thanks to Mario and many thanks to Chen Hong. With that, we come to the end of this edition of The Point with me, Li Xin. Thanks for watching. You've got the point.